Thank you, Riv. And gentlemen, I want to hit on what Kobe was touching on there. Incarnation back on an assassin. But in general, a couple of the picks that we saw Shyvana and Master Yi come out as well. So we're actually going to pull up the team comp graphic so we can kind of get an overview of it. And Jad, I'm going to let you walk through a little bit of it.
Yeah, so one interesting thing is that Incarnation was kind of pushed into an assassin with the Azir and Orianna bans by NME. But it is such a classic champion for him, and I feel like it's generally good in this meta if you're attacking a squishier team. And there's only one true tank from the top lane in flares for this team, so therefore Incarnation would have success. I also really like what Hai is doing in the jungle. He's always been kind of the first person to take a powerful pick from solo queue and then play it in the LCS right away. Throwback to Soraka when he was a mid laner and dominated with that. Shyvana has been crushing many a solo queue game, and we saw as soon as he got that State of the Devour, he was taking over the game.
Well, this is just comfort across the board for C9. Balls on Rumble, Sneaky on Kalista, and then you have comfort for Hai and Incarnation. So C9, in a time where they were struggling, they're like, all right, let's just go back to what's working for us in scrims, what's working for us in terms of our own champion pools, and just bring it all together. And the Azir and Orianna ban are interesting because those are LCS Incarnation champions that we've been seeing. This is a solo queue Incarnation champion, and he seems much more comfortable on it. He had a big CS advantage over the Master Yi, which was actually a good pick. It just wasn't executed on very well.
I want to move there next because it did baffle me a little bit. So shed some light.
Well, when you pick an Ahri, you can't really pick a champion that is going to be very poke-centric against it, right? The Azir was already banned away. The Orianna's already banned away. Varus, Kog'Maw, Jace, Nidalee are things that we see Inox going towards. But Ahri just destroys those champions. She's able to gap close on them. So the Master Yi ends up going for a split push strategy later. And then you have the Evelynn who just roams around the map and makes it so that always keeping pressure or possible pressure on that lane. So the Master Yi gets to split push. But they never were able to execute on that because the Master Yi was never strong enough to run over this team.
Right. Ultimately, we saw very early in the game, 130 to 90 CS difference, 40 CS there. I mean, like, why?
It's an unfortunate thing for Inox. Master Yi is a pick that terrifies a lot of people because no one really preps that pick or against it. But this time it did seem like Incarnation had a handle on what to do against Yi. He kept his CS up very high. He was also, we noticed that one moment where Inox dodged the charm and the REQ with his Alpha Strike, but it seemed like kind of just that one moment. He ended up getting poked heavily, and Enemy ended up falling into that unfortunate pattern where they are getting crushed in the early game, and then Master Yi can never realize his split push potential.
Let's explore that a little bit, the idea that Enemy is losing these early games because, as we just mentioned, you know, across the board, their pick suggests that they should be able to hold up in the early game from a champion pick perspective, yet they didn't do it.
They have close matchups in a lot of places. Yeah. The Corki versus Kalista lane can be close. The Master Yi versus Ahri lane can be a skill matchup, and he was losing it. And they were getting out-pressured in the jungle despite Hai being on a farm jungler. So it's just a recurring problem. Whether they try and comp entirely for the early game, they don't want to do that necessarily because then they wouldn't have a way of winning the game. But this one in particular, they just fell far too weak.
Zyrene, I want to jump to you with one last thing, which is that Cloud9 here, 28-30 game time. The last game we saw them play 24 minutes. They're picking up these quick wins all of a sudden. Any thoughts as to why specifically they're winning so quickly?
Well, they're really just exploiting the weaknesses of the other team right now. We saw Dignitas play a very sloppy game, an Enemy there. Flair's giving up solo kills. We saw the TPs to just dive one person and then give TP advantage to the other team happen over and over again. So C9, it looks like they're having more decisive calls. There's definitely more fight in this team now than we had seen previously. And with Comfort coming into the mix, they don't have to worry about a lot of extraneous factors. Just focus on their game, and that's what they've been doing to get these wins.
Well, with that win, too, Cloud9 grabs the 1-1 record with each of the bottom teams, which is going to be very big when it comes to tiebreakers, possible tiebreakers at the end of the split. We'll keep it tuned right here. When we return, we'll jump into our game of the week between Team Impulse and TSM. You won't want to miss it.
Give us a motivational speech.
Alright, motivational speech.
Alright. You guys are playing Enemy. Okay. You guys are better than them. So, yes.
You don't know that.
Okay.
Incarnation now set to pick up a few kills for himself. Lemonation a few last hits. This one is going the long haul. Flares under the turret. A charm over. This could be bad for Cloud9. Fate's call pulls out Lemonation. They're back onto Inox. He gets out with a sliver of health.
Kill the front line. Kill the front line. Kill the front line. Master Yi. Kill front line. Kill front line. Chase. Go.
Cloud9 take down Enemy.